Hey guys, it's Julian, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make acid techno like Amelie, Charlotte de Witte, and Anetha. As usual, you can get the full project files, samples, MIDI, presets. Everything from this video is available right at the top of the description, and if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. And yeah, here we go. So this is the loop that you heard in the intro. We're at 131 BPM. The first sound that's going on here is the kick. So the way this kick is made is you can see it's actually being distorted a little bit. I'm using this pedal distortion inside of Ableton, and then I've got a tuner here as well just to check the keys. So basically, this is kind of the gist with these kinds of kicks, is like, it's not always just going to be like saturation or drum bass or something like that, but with these more aggressive styles of techno, actually just straight up distorting the kick can go a long way. So I'll show you, here's without the pedal. It's just like a pretty nice fat 909 type of kick. And then with the pedal, it's not like a distorted kick. Like, you don't really hear the distortion like super crunchy like that. But the distortion gives you a fatness that you can't get with drum bass or with saturator. And so the key here to using the pedal on kicks like this is it's very effective, but you have to make sure you turn on the sub knob. If I turn this off and then turn it on, see how that just really fills it out and gives it that low end like you hear in most techno kicks? So that's important. And then also just not going too crazy with it, because like if you want a harder kick, you can. You just have to turn that up a little bit. But if you keep it down like that, you get that same punch and it still hits as hard, it's still as full, but it's going to be a little bit less crunchy. It's just going to hit really hard in the mix. And yeah, that's it for the kick. From there we have the bass, which sounds like this. So all this bass is doing is it's just playing C on the upbeats. You can hear it plays off the kick. We get like a do-da-do-da-do-da. And yeah, this is meant to just kind of fill out like the whole low end, because you know, a lot of times in techno you would have like a rumble kick or maybe a bass line where it's like one long held out note. Since this is more like just on the upbeats, it's all about just kind of like filling up that same space with it, so we get a really full low end when you play both the kick and bass together. And so that's also part of why we don't change notes actually. Like a lot of times it can seem like, oh, why is the bass line, you know, just one note? The reason for this is because we're trying to make a really solid bass. And as you can hear, if you like change the note, see how the bass, like even if I just go down there, the bass kind of like doesn't really translate as well when you start to move it across different notes. But when you keep it on one note, you're just getting the solid fat bass the whole way through. And yeah, so for the sound with this one, it's a saw wave and then a square wave. And you can see those are an octave apart. I've got the saw wave down, there's without the filter. And then those are going into a low pass. And the low pass has a bit of an envelope on it, and that's what's making it kind of like a bit deeper like that while still having the punch to it, because you hear the impact and like the punch in that envelope. Then we have the amp envelope set like this. Then we just have a bit of drum bass to fatten it up. Here's without this. And then with it, I got the boom on there, which is actually not tuned to the same key that the bass is playing. But I found this note to add a lot of really fat low end to it that I liked. But yeah, and then we just have a bit of EQ. So here's without that. And then with it, you know, just cuts out some room for the kick, brings out the low end. And then I have the kick and bass in a group together. I try to treat this kind of as one thing, like almost like it's one instrument. Because like usually in a track like this, you wouldn't just have a part where it's just the kick. It's kind of like they come as one thing, sort of like if you had a rumble kick. So that's why I called this the kick bass and not just the kick and the bass. So in the group here, I just have a bit of EQ and a bit of drum bus. Here's without anything. And then with it. So what's happening here is the EQ is just kind of cleaning it up a little bit, you know. It's cutting out some space and cutting out some mud. There's without it. And then with it. And then the drum bus just glues these together and kind of fattens them up while filling in that space a little. And we've also got some boom on there, which you can hear makes a nice difference. Yeah, that's it for the kick and bass. Like I said, you know, it's pretty simple. You just make fat bass, fat 909 style kick, and then just glue them together with a bit of saturation and a bit of EQ, and it should work pretty nicely. The next sound that we have here is the 303, which sounds like this. So here are the notes. It's just going down, 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 down. Just on one note, C, same note as the bass. And for the sound with this one, that's really where most of this is happening, is actually inside the synth. You can see we've just got one saw wave inside of analog here going into a bandpass filter, and then what's happening is we have two automations on the bandpass. So you can see I'm automating the frequency, like the amount of the envelope, so the envelope being what's making it clock like that. So we're automating the amount of that really slightly. You can see right here. And then I'm also automating the actual frequency of the filter to make it go like. And what I'm doing here is a bit of call and response where we're doing like. Like it's a little bit darker this time with it's a little bit more closed, and then here it's a little bit more open. And we're just getting like the interplay of those two settings. Then we got the amp envelope set like this, and then I just have a bit of echo doing dotted and quarter notes, just gives it a bit more rhythm. Because you can hear all those repeats just sitting over top of the mix there. Then we have some overdrive. Here's without this. And then with it. So you can see how essential this overdrive is. It's really important. Because this is what's taking this filter and making it not just like a little bandpass on a saw wave. We're really distorting it and taking it over the edge to give it that like fat, you know, modern 303 sound. Then we just have a bit of reverb. Here's without it. And then with it. So this is another thing for getting the modern sound. I don't think it's really going to sound that good in a track like this if you don't have some reverb on your 303. Like, it's just one of those things that just kind of makes it fit into the track a little bit better, and it gives it some atmosphere. And then we just have a bit of drum bus. Here's without it. And with it, you can hear it's giving it that extra push to really be this fat, huge, full sound. And then finally, I have an auto filter, just cutting out the low end, making a bit of room for the kick and the bass. And yeah, that's it for the 303. After that, we have the hi-hats, which sound like this. So what it is it's this hi-hat, which I'll play you. So that's the original sample, and then you can see here, I pitched it down -1, and then I've shortened it, and then we have it going like that. And yeah, this is pretty simple, you know, it's just a nice way to make a little bit more of an intense kind of hi-hat, because usually, you know, you would have like a hi-hat playing 16th notes in your track, but when you use these 909 hi-hats and shorten them, it's just a bit more aggressive. See, I have that, and then on the upbeats, we just have this one, which is really just sort of accentuating like this one. as you can hear, like, the main hi-hat really is this one. And then this one's playing on the upbeats. It's just there to add some more impact. And some more punch there. And kind of make you bob your head a little bit more. And then I have those two in a group together. And this just kind of helps, kind of like with the kick and bass. Like when you have two elements like this that are similar, it can help to put them in a group and process them together. Because it'll make them sound a lot more just glued together and kind of consistent throughout the track. So here is with nothing on the group. And then with the processing, so you can hear the difference. So the first thing we have here is the reverb. This just gives these hi-hats a bit of atmosphere and kind of a bit of space. Here's without it. And then with it, it's subtle, but it's one of those things that is going to create a little bit more, like I said, like atmosphere in the club and on the dance floor. And I think this can really make a big difference in terms of adding like air to your track. And making it feel alive and not just super flat and two-dimensional. Then we have this drum bus, which as you can hear, is making these hit a lot more. They're a lot punchier now, as well as just kind of like bringing the volumes to a little bit more of an even place. But I definitely recommend this. It's a great way to make your hi-hats hit really hard and sound really fat in your track. And then finally I just have an EQ, which is cutting some lows and boosting the highs a little. And yeah, that's it for the hi-hats. And then the last thing that we have here would be these two little percussions. This 909 rim shot and then this clap, which sound like this. Which as you can hear, these are kind of playing off of each other. So we start with just this rim shot. You can see it's actually kind of playing off of the rhythm of the 303, because we have the 303 going down, down, down. And you can see in the MIDI, it's like the second and third hit of the 303. That's what this is kind of doubling up. So this is just to add a little bit more percussion to the track. And a little bit more depth, because now you're not just hearing the 303, but you're hearing this other percussion come in and sort of back it up. And then with the clap, it's just kind of playing a bit off of what that rim shot said. So now we have this rim shot playing off of the 303, the clap playing off of the rim shot and the 303. So now it's all feeling like very together and very much like it's all kind of working toward the same goal. And this is something you should try to do, is not just have like random percussion, but have percussion that feels like it's kind of playing off of what your other elements are doing rhythmically, because it's going to make the whole track feel a lot more together. And yeah, with this one we just have a bit of echo and a bit of drum bass. Here is without these. And then with them. So you can hear that echo is just giving this some space to make it kind of fit into the track. And then the drum bus is just there to make it hit a bit more and be a bit fatter. And it also brings out the echo a little bit. And yeah. So, that's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get the full project file and samples and MIDI presets. Everything from this video is available right at the top of the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there, because it's already available. This is a really great way to support me, guys. You know, as you guys know, we're in a little bit of a crisis right now, and every little bit helps. So thank you so much, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.